Hello everybody, I'm Matt and I'm back with another layout update for 26th Street Station. I got quite a bit done since the last update and I'm excited to share that with you today. Now this will be the last big update before I pack this thing up in the back of my van and I head off to Chicago for the first sort of public display, if you will, of this layout. As I go to my friend's house and we have a big gathering to run some trains. I wanted to get my layout to a certain state before that operating session, and I think I pulled it off. I was starting to run out of steam there a little bit towards the end, but I persevered and I got this thing looking pretty darn great. And so I wanted to show you today what I've done. Let's take a look at it now. So what I wanted to do with this layout was, even though I wasn't going to be able to get all the modeling done and ready to go before the operating session, I wanted to have some stand-ins in place. Just so that anyone who's running my layout can kind of get an impression of what the final look is going to be. So I took some plywood and I cut out some pieces in the shape of, whatever the final element was going to be. In this case, it's a boat, but I also have some building structures we're going to be taking a look at in a second. So just to show you, this is kind of a really great way to kind of quickly just give the impression of, where a model is going to be, so that somebody viewing this can go, oh, okay, I can see how this is going to evolve to that one day. I think it's going to be a really good way to show this off, especially moving forward as I start to take this thing to shows in its work in progress state. So for this boat right here, what I'm doing actually is using the Walthers Railroad tugboat kit. These tugboats were actually based on, I think these were based on the Lehigh Valley tugboats that operated in Manhattan around the time that I am modeling. But they also very, very close to the Baltimore and Ohio tugs as well. So some minor adjustment to details on the tugs as well as a new paint job. And these will be very, very good representations of those Baltimore and Ohio tugboats. One cool thing I did pick up was a magazine. This is the Sentinel. This is the Baltimore and Ohio's Historical Society magazine. This issue is from the first quarter of 2001, and the entire issue is dedicated to tugboats. So we get some really great close-up pictures of the tugboats that operated in Manhattan during the time that I am modeling. And so I'll be able to get a really good idea, some cool schematics as well, of what these should look like and how I should detail them moving forward. Awesome to find something like this. A whole magazine, I mean, a lot of pages. How many pages we got here? Like 30 pages, 35 pages, all dedicated to the Baltimore and Ohio tugboats. This is going to be a really fantastic resource as I move towards modeling a tugboat for my layout. Obviously the water is not done. This is just paint that I have applied just for the purposes of having something here. So that water will be modeled eventually once I get to building the float bridge. Let's talk about that right now. The float bridge itself will be built from a model. This comes from Fast Tracks. If you're familiar with their hand-laid track and the jigs and stuff that they create, same company. The owner of that company actually has his own New York area pocket terminal layout that he has built. It's the Central New Jersey's Bronx terminal. And for himself, he modeled up the float bridge as kind of like a temporary stand-in before he gets to a more detailed version for his own layout, and makes, upon request, that same model kit available for others as well. And that float bridge just happens to be the same float bridge that Baltimore and Ohio used for their own pocket terminal. So this is going to be a really great starting point for me. I'm going to assemble it, alter it, because I do have to make it smaller. I was unfortunately required to shrink this length of my float bridge down just to fit it in the space. But this will be a great starting point for a very detailed version of this float bridge I'm going to build myself with lots of bolt details and all sorts of other great stuff. But this will be a really great jumping off point for me for that. So I'm excited to get started with that. As we move forward, you can see more of these plywood flats. These represent freight houses that existed in this area right here at this time. This is actually, I believe it's the Panama Cruise Line, if I'm not mistaken, freight house. And I'm doing a pretty faithful representation of that on this layout. And in order to recreate that, I'm using this kit right here. So this is a kit. This is a Design Preservation Models sort of a warehouse kit. It is actually, it's a little bit smaller than my footprint that I have created for myself here. So I ended up buying some additional of these Design Preservation Model panels. A lot of DPM kits are designed to sort of like piece together so you can make them as large or as small as you want. And so I bought a number of extras in order to create the final structure. This kit itself is from, I think, the mid-90s. So it's a fairly old kit at this point, but it is actually a very faithful, I think, representation of what was actually in this spot in 1955. So I'm excited to put this together, modify it, detail it, and make it look like what I need it to be. Moving on, this is the stand-in for West Side Highway. I wanted to make it a little more detailed than just a simple like flat piece of plywood or something like that. I wanted, something for trains to go under and to really start to get the feeling of what it would be like to model this particular area and what it would be like to operate and pull cars underneath an overpass and that kind of thing. So I spent a little more time on the mock-up for it. The final version is going to be probably completely scratch built. I am going to be purchasing a resin printer to model a bunch of stuff for this layout specifically. And this West Side Highway is very unique, and there's really not a way to do it justice without basically modeling it from scratch. You could do some kit bashing and get a fine representation, but the bridge itself has like sculptural elements embedded into it, which are just really beautiful and intricate and very unique. It's a very unique New York thing, I think. I love the idea of the art and the industrial coming together. And so to be able to do that with this bridge is going to be really exciting. So mocking it up in this way, allows me to sort of start to get that feeling before I get to the point where I'm ready to start, 3D modeling the final elements that are going to make up the final model. That's going to be probably years down the line, honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest with myself. I think I need to get a little more kit building under my belt before I tackle something like that. But tackle it I will. Doing a mock-up like this as well is really great to help visualize what the final structure is going to be. I can figure out how wide I want it to be, as well as how tall I want it to be as well, and get a sense, is this going to work for me? Now this is smaller than the actual West Side Highway is. Like most all the structures on my layout, they've been modified to fit the space. The real West Side Highway is, I believe, 6 lanes wide. This one's down to 4 lanes wide. And I don't know that I have the height quite right yet, but it's pretty close. Certainly close enough for right now. But I'm getting a really good sense of the overall size and shape of it. And any adjustments that I need to make for the final model, I can use something like this as a great guide when I'm setting up, getting ready to make those changes. I want to share this real quick with you. This is a vehicle my brother got me for Christmas, and I was really excited to see it because it has this opening hood, and it works perfectly as a stand-in for a photograph that I found online of this actual location where there was a car parked on the side of the road with its hood up. And so for my brother to get me that was really awesome. He didn't even know anything about it when he got it for me. It just happened to work out perfectly for the spot right here. And so that's where that car is going to end up staying for the next 40 years, probably, right? But now at this point, we're starting to enter the yard itself. And I have a few structures here. This white piece of plywood here represents the yard office. And that yard office is actually going to be a Craftsman structure kit. This one's by FOS scale models or FOS scale models. I'm not really exactly sure how to pronounce it. But you can see the yard office right there. It's a wood Craftsman structure kit. It's a little bit of a different representation from the actual yard office that was in the area there. But I've got a very limited space for a yard office in this one little spot right here. So I needed to have something that was a little bit smaller. I still wanted the structure to sort of feel like it could fit in the scene and feel like it was a good representation of the final version. And so I think that that does it absolutely perfectly. It's probably going to be the first structure that I actually build for this layout is going to be that little yard office. So I think it would be a great sort of way for me to get into building structures for the layout before I start to get kind of crazy with things. This big piece of plywood here represents the Baltimore and Ohio freight station. This is a very large freight station that was served by a couple of tracks. We've got one on our layout here, but it has this, in real life, this nice kind of curve side to it. So it's a very interesting structure. It's got areas for obviously trucks to pull up so that cars can be unloaded on one side and trucks can be loaded on the other and they can go about their way. Very cool, very interesting. One thing I'm going to do is I'm going to model it with the, at this point where it gets cut off on the edge of the layout, I'm going to model it with an open interior so you can see boxes stacked up and workers going about their business. It's going to be lighted. All of my structures in this layout are going to have interior lighting on them and interior details as well. So this structure itself is going to be fully scratch built. It's not going to be, I'll probably use some 3D printed parts in it, but the structure itself will be built from plywood and brick sheets and that kind of thing in order to make the final structure. So a scratch built structure like this, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some skill that I still need to build to make it, to build the skill in order to really tackle this. So this is going to be a structure that's going to be coming at a later date. Moving on now, we got a couple more buildings. This thin strip of wood here, it represents a some sort of freight building. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but it existed in this spot at one time. It had a little bit of a platform on there. It's kind of an interesting building. The real life one has a bit of a curve to it, which I'm not going to be able to represent on my layout just because of how the track arrangement is. But interesting building. For this one, I decided that I was going to actually kit bash one of Walther's background structures. I don't have a picture of this one to show you. This is a kit I bought for a layout that I owned several layouts ago and never actually got around to building. But this is the background structure here. As you can see, this is 3 stories tall. And I believe the real life version is only 2 stories tall. So I'm going to modify this in order to sort of make it fit width-wise and height-wise in the area. But honestly, like, it's a pretty darn good representation of the final version. Overall, I mean, the look is very similar. So it's going to be really really great to be able to do a bit of a kit bash on an already existing structure and make something that's going to fit in to this spot basically perfectly. Now over here is my mocked up representation of the big enchilada, the big model on the layout. This is the Baltimore and Ohio's West 26th Street station. In real life, this thing is 10 stories tall. It's like, I don't know how long it is. Oh, 400 feet long, something like that. It's a very large building. And it is, I originally wanted to model the whole kind of front structure of this building in plywood as a mock-up before the operating session. I ran out of time, but also I didn't want to rush it, and I also didn't want to spend a ton of time and energy on it, at least at this point. I may go back and rework this and make a mock-up that's a little more of a complete view of the final structure. Haven't really decided yet. It's going to be a massive structure. It is a massive structure in real life, especially for railroading and model railroaders, we don't generally see structures this big, even on our layouts, even on our large layouts, let alone small layouts like this. But it's going to be fun to model the final version of this. And just like the bridge, this is going to be a 3D printed resin model that I kind of design and build. There are a number of other modelers who have tackled West 26th Street and have done laser cut versions of this model, and they've supplied me their files. I'm very thankful for them for that. I may end up doing some sort of laser cut wood structure that I then lay resin details on top of in order to get the final look. I haven't really decided yet. I haven't figured out exactly what I'm doing with this structure yet. It's another one that's probably a few years off as well, just because of the complexity and the size and the amount of work that's going to have to go into making the structure look the way it needs to look to represent the real building. But for now, this is, I think, a perfectly good representation for operation purposes. I think it's going to look great for showing it off at shows and stuff. It'll be fine. Work as a good conversation starter. I think I'm going to print out some pictures to display along with this so you can kind of get an idea of what the actual freight station looks like, because it is big and impressive, and this doesn't do it justice, but it works for the purposes of operations. We'll look at ballasting really quick. I already have a video out there that shows off how I've weathered the ties and ballasted everything in here, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, other than say check out that video if you're interested. Ballasting was kind of tricky, kind of going back and forth with some ideas to come up with something that I thought was going to be a good representation of what it might have looked like, and also something that would really work well at this scale. I tried grout to try to simulate dirt. I tried a couple of different techniques and just wasn't really happy with any of them. I ended up landing on very fine end scale ballast and a mix of colors in order to get something that looks like this. Not sure how well this matches 26th Street Station, but this matches the other yards from other railroads in Manhattan at this time. It also matches the yard in Staten Island that Baltimore and Ohio used to stage trains that would then make their way over to Manhattan via car float. So I figure worked good for them. We'll put it here as well. One thing that I've done here is you can see right here and here and a couple other spots like here where there is no ballast. This is actually going to be where I'm going to have puddles of standing water. Overall, the scenery in this layout is going to have a look and feel of a fresh rain. Fresh rain has just passed, and there's standing water and there's wet mud and everything like that in the layout. You can see that I have also, I don't know if these were done last time or not, but I have the driveways and roads in place and painted. That was an interesting experience, trying to get that done and make it look great. I think overall it has turned out very well. You see these seams right here. That is where the pieces of brick sheets kind of came together. That's going to be kind of hidden by additional weathering. I'm going to have some patches. All these driveways were patched up pretty seriously by this point in 1955. So there'll be a lot of detail to just kind of hide these seams a little bit. And I think it'll overall do a really good job of making this look kind of rugged and industrial and worn down. So I'm excited about that as well. Well, thanks again everyone for stopping by and checking out my layout. As I said before, I'm really happy with where things stand with it right now. I'm excited to get this in front of some of my friends, show them what I've done, get their feedback on it as well. And yeah, we're going to have many more updates to this layout in the future, so stick around for those. Thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you all in another video.